So it's time for Proof I'm Rich, and I'm going to show you a few little items that you may have seen before, but I think it's important to identify why you're seeing these things. You may be conscious of this or not, but by the time we're done with this conversation, you're going to get real clear on it. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because uh, I have a client that I've worked with for years now, but she started working with me one on one, about 7, 8, 9 months ago. And so one of the first things that we did is we saw all the content she was making. This is a coach, and so one of the ways that she gets clients is by putting content out there, kind of like what I'm doing right now. And she's very prolific, like live streams every other day. Just tons of products, just all sorts of great stuff, right? Very creative individual. And so anyway, so one of the things I saw her do was she would put a lot of live streams on Facebook, and then she would have her VA take her live stream from Facebook and throw it over to YouTube. Okay, and so I said, well, that's great. You've got one piece of content and you're putting it out in two different locations. I'm actually doing that right now. I'm live on YouTube and I'm live on Facebook, right? So why not? Reach a couple more people. So I said that's great, but I looked at her YouTube following, and she's got like 10 subscribers, and her YouTube videos would get like literally no views. I mean, I know that sometimes they'll see like a YouTube channel, they'll get only 5 views or 10 views on a video, right? It's not abnormal. A lot of like I have a family YouTube account, and I don't get more than 5, 10 views on stuff because it's just my personal place to put our own videos, right? So it's not a big deal. But if you look at my YouTube channel, you see that pretty much every video that I have has a few hundred views at least, if not more. And we're talking about a niche area. So what I think that's it's at least the minimal what I would expect. She's got nothing, no views at all. And so I said, I think what you need to do with this content, because YouTube's different than Facebook. Facebook, it's like foot traffic. People are just have nothing better to do. They're watching, nothing against what you're doing right now if you're watching me live, but it's just like, taking some time off, a little distraction, right? So, but YouTube is different. People don't usually just use YouTube as a bit of a distraction mechanism. When you're on YouTube, you're doing it because you're specifically wanting to see something. You're searching for content, or you're searching Google and it brings you over to YouTube for content. It's generally a little bit different marketplace. You're starting with keywords. You're starting with specific things you want to see, right? And a lot of times people get YouTube views not because they captured someone in a YouTube search, but because they capture somebody in a recommended video, in an associated video, and their video is somehow associated with another video that's more popular. And because YouTube wants to keep you watching, they give you videos that are very similar. And the way YouTube knows that is by keyword, right? So they say, if this content is about, I don't know, marketing for coaches, and somebody's watching a video about marketing for coaches, then let's try putting your video in the associated content, see if people are interested in clicking on your thumbnail, if they're interested in watching your video, and if they continue watching after your video as well. Those are the metrics of YouTube. It's all watch timing and views and stuff like that. Anyway, so I told her, what you need to do is figure out what you're talking about, because you just get on Facebook and talk about anything. You talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's completely off the cuff, and that's cool. It's very creative, and you're kind of just riffing on ideas and things. That's great for Facebook. It's not so great for YouTube unless you look at what you came up with later and you figure out what is the subject matter that you're speaking of. And then you turn that subject matter into a title and some tags and things like that. And then take that title and tags and make sure that it's SEO'd. Make sure that the keywords that people would normally search for that are associated with that content, that's going to be like in your title. It's going to be in your tags. And so I told her to do that. She said, oh, I don't really want to do it, but I'll go ahead and try. And she came back a couple weeks later and said, and I didn't do it. And, the reason I didn't do it is because, I just get on and do my thing. I'm just creative. I just came up with my own content, and people love it. And, I have a big following already. I don't need this YouTube thing. We just put it up there just because why not? Might as well put it up there. You never know. And I'm like, don't waste your time putting it up there. Nobody's watching it. Might as well just cancel your account. It actually makes you look bad because it makes you look like you have no followers, right? Like no one wants to watch your stuff. So just take it down then, right? But she's like, if this whole thing is about, keywords and SEO and all this tech stuff, I'm like, this is not technical. I mean, you can figure out keywords in like 5 minutes. But the bottom line is her outlook of just figuring out these keywords and discovering her content and kind of organizing it a little bit was and this literally her word. She said, oh, this, that's soul crushing. I'm not going to do this soul crushing work. If that's what it takes to be successful, I'm not going to do it. Because it's totally crushing my soul. So this, Jarek. I mean, you use that kind of words. That kind of language pattern is like, if I was to come up with keywords, for 5 minutes and organize my content to the point where people could actually find me, it would literally crush my soul. I'm like, okay, maybe there might be better language around that, right? But the bottom line is, I let it go, right? I said, there are a lot of ways you can get some clients, and you don't need to get followers on YouTube if you don't choose to pursue that. We'll go in another direction, right? And so she kind of got over that, and we worked in other directions. And so a couple months later, this is actually fairly recently. It's like 2 months ago or so, and she has many different products, and one of her products seemed to be working better than others, right? She would put it up there, and there's these things called tripwires, which are low-price products that, doesn't take a lot of commitment or a lot of money for somebody to get involved with the product, right? So it's something that creates a customer relationship. It's a really good idea to do something like this, and she's working her butt off on creating these, what I would call tripwires, and just low-price products, books, ebooks, short video courses, paid webinars, stuff like that. So she's got 5 or 10 of these, and I said, which one is the best? Which one gets the most sales? And she's like, this one's getting like 3 sales a week right now, and the other ones don't get anything. They're not getting shit. So I said, well, let's take the one that's working the best. Let's go ahead and put that as your main product, and leave it. Just leave it up, because what she would do is she would rotate products. She would put one product up. Whether it worked or not, she would like switch it after a couple weeks. It was kind of like product ADD. It was like, the creativity gone completely off the rails, not just creativity, but like obsessive compulsively doing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and just not being able to stop, right? Just frenetically, obsessively creating stuff. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's fantastic. I mean, are you that prolific? Do you create 1, 2, 3 hours of either video or audio or written content on a daily basis that comes from you? Not a lot of people can say that. So I'm like, this is fantastic. Let's use that stuff, right? So anyway, I told her, put the best product up there, and let's see how it does for like a month. Let's see if it continues to bring in sales. And if it does, what we're going to do is we're going to continue to tweak this. And I worked on her I worked with her on the copy for this product, the lead-in, and how she was going to upsell, and just all the different little mechanical things that you need to do. And she's working on this stuff, right? She's putting time and energy into it. Really made a nice engine for it. And so I talked to her. I guess we had missed a call or something. And I talked to her like a month later. And I said, how did it go? And her commitment was, I asked her to commit to leave this product up, don't touch it, leave it alone. Because she kept switching things around and moving things around. I'm like, if you keep moving things around, how are you going to know what's working? You won't know what, you've done all this stuff. At least give it a chance to like make you money. At least give it a chance to get you a paying client, right? So leave it up. Let's measure it and see how it goes, right? So anyway, So that was her assignment. That was her commitment. Leave it up. Don't touch it. I mean, literally, I had to ask her for her commitment was do nothing. Like how late, it's like just be lazy, right? Don't touch this stuff. So anyway, because she comes back in a month, I'm like, how did that go? How what happened? And she's like, I changed it. I'm like, what? The one thing I asked you to do, you couldn't do for this business that you're so committed to. That is your mission. That is your vision for your life. And like you gave up all this for, and you're dumping in money. And I mean, she's losing money right now. She's not making money. She's putting more money into the business than she's making, right? And she's got clients. I mean, she's actually pretty successful when it comes to actually making sales. She's got like 100 clients or something like that, but it's just not a profitable business yet. I mean, and this is very easy to do if you're spending money on marketing, because anybody that's ever spent money on traffic, especially online marketing, there's kind of no limit to what you can spend. And she was taking advantage of that kind of no limit type of expenditure, right? So bottom line was, I was like, we gotta get you profitable. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to measure your results, and we're going to tweak what's working, and then we're going to get rid of what's not working. Really simple stuff, but you've got to give it time to work. And she just couldn't do it. She couldn't wait. And I said to her, why did you take it down? What is going on here? Like, each one of the things I give you, these are simple business things. They don't take a lot of work. You don't have to do all of them, but you got to do something. There's certain things that will help you create predictable and measurable results in your coaching business, in your marketing, for getting customers. So what's going on here? I know you have the capability of doing this, so what is happening? And she said, you know what? I learned from another mentor before I started working with you one-on-one that, I learned from her that she just did whatever she wanted. She just created new products every week or so. She just said whatever she felt like saying on her live streams, on her videos and stuff like that. She just was creative, right? And she was raking it in. She was rolling in it. I mean, she was doing fantastic, right? And she's like, this was my coach before you. And I worked with her for like a year. I learned everything. I know how she does what she does, and I'm doing it. I'm like, really? But you're not getting the same results. She's like, no, I'm not getting anywhere close to the results. So, I'm sitting here scratching my head thinking, okay, this is like a modeling error, right? One of the myths of personal growth and development, what a lot of coaches will consume, that we've learned, not because it's completely untrue, but because it is, I think, misleading a little bit, is do what other people that are successful do, and it'll all work out. You sow the same seeds, you'll reap the same rewards, right? And I think it's a fair claim to make, right? I'd rather do my best to reproduce the results that somebody else is getting and get in, at least move in that direction, than just like completely invent the wheel. So it's not completely off base. But the fact is, you're two different people. If you can, I mean, maybe a business can do the exact same thing, but an individual who their message and who they are and their attitude and what they look like and the coaching they provide, the content that they create, like there's so many differences. It's like a fingerprint. It's that different. Then you can just copy just what somebody else does, because there's no way to exactly copy it. You can only take organizing principles from what works for them and reproduce it and kind of steal it and own it in the way that really works for you. But I said, it's great that you're modeling somebody. Well, let's find out what you're doing, and let's find out what they're doing that you think you're doing the same thing. Because I didn't say this, but I was like, I guarantee she's not doing the same thing as this model is. Because if she really was doing the exact same thing, she would be getting the same results. But you just can't do the exact same thing most of the time. So I found out who this individual was, and I discovered some major differences. Not to mention some things that there's no way she'll ever be able to copy, and that she wouldn't even want to copy. And those differences they weren't just like little superficial things. Well, they were somewhat superficial, but they weren't little things. They weren't little things in the world of marketing your services, marketing your coaching, marketing your content, marketing your programs, your seminars. They weren't small. So let's set that aside for a second. I'm going to share those differences with you. I'm going to share who this role model was in a second. But before I do that, I want to explain the kind of the organizing principle behind the reasons why I think a lot of coaches will think they're doing the right thing and it doesn't work out for them in their marketing. There are different types of marketing that you can offer as a coach. There's direct marketing, which most coaches know exactly zero about because they don't see it very often. And if they do see it, they don't know that they're looking at it. They don't even know what it is. It's invisible to them. And then there's image marketing or brand marketing, or you can think of it like personal branding, right? So direct marketing is when you offer one thing for one action and you get an individual, a prospective customer, let's say, to take one specific action for one small incentive that usually doesn't have much to do with you. It usually doesn't have much to do with like what people know about you or your image or your brand. You know, sometimes that has to do with it, but for the most part, it has everything to do with just you're offering them something that they want in exchange for contact information or a small fee or something like that. And you kind of get them into what people call a funnel or a launch process or a series of relational exchanges, whether they be live or over email or automated or whatever, that ultimately turns them into a pretty high-paying customer, right? Kind of sucks them in over time. Brand marketing, image marketing, personal brand marketing is very different. And coaches love this stuff. I mean, they're just addicted to personal brand marketing. They want a fancy looking website. They want beautiful logos on their business card. They want a great email signature. They want their picture everywhere. They love this stuff. Which is funny because you think coaches are all about other people and helping people and really getting inside their client and understanding them. And then it's like, and they really are that way. I mean, that's one of the reasons I love working with coaches. But then when it comes to their marketing, it's all of a sudden me, 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 me. It's all about image and brand and ego and this kind of stuff. And so, and I don't think that's because coaches are like egotistical or something. Maybe some of them are. They're kind of closet egomaniacs, right? It's like, I'm really, really trying to help you, but it's really all about me, right? I'm sure some of them that's exactly the case. Gosh knows. Okay, but I really don't think that's most of them. I think the reason that a lot of them do it is because they've seen other people do it. They've seen other coaches do it. They've seen other brands do it. The advertising that we see when we're driving down the freeway and we see a billboard, or the advertising that we see when we open, not our mailbox, but when we watch TV, let's say, that advertising, the predominance of advertising, the most of the advertising that coaches look at or anybody looks at is brand and image advertising. It's not direct marketing. There is some direct marketing that we see, there's no doubt, but that's like a third or less of the marketing that most people see. So I think what happens is coaches think that, you know, they're in this selfless business, but when they have to market themselves, suddenly they have to be all about ego. They have to be all about me, me, me. They have to be all about their brand. It's all about, you know, just like it's all focused on the product, on the brand, on the individual, the celebrity of it. You get the idea here. I think they think it's all about that because they just see it again and again and again. So although they're really great people and they're all about giving and they're not about themselves and they're not egotistical, again, with exception, you know, they still act that way when it comes to their business. They still act that way when it comes to their marketing. And it's kind of sad, but it's not because of, I think for most of them, it's not because they're just that way. I think it's because they think that's what they have to do. Some coaches won't do it at all. So they'll do no marketing. They're just like, I don't even want to play the game. But other coaches will say, you know what, I got to do this, so I got to act like a jerk. I don't mean it's like a jerk to be, have an ego, but it's, I think they make that judgment sometimes, and they just kind of grin and bear it. They got a lump in their throat about it, but they do it anyway. Yeah, the guy in the YouTube video. So let's talk about him as an example here. So, and he did really, really well for a couple different reasons, and not all of it is image advertising. Well, actually, yeah, most of it's image advertising as well. So I think a lot of coaches want to do this personal brand, this brand or image type of marketing, which is for most of them completely not what they should be doing, but they think they need to do it, and then they try to copy the gurus that are out there doing this already. And they wonder why they come back with nothing. And it's just like the client that I'm mentioning to you now. She's probably as successful as she can get using this type of marketing. She's done it all. She's dumped tens of thousands of dollars into it, but still she's not profitable. And I think this is why. So we all know Ty, probably. If you've seen Ty on YouTube, this is his famous sitting in my garage. What is it? Here in my garage. I forgot. It's here in my garage, right? The here in my garage video. This is, it's just a piece of art. This is image advertising. This is image marketing at its finest. So let's zoom in a little bit and see what Ty is doing here. So the moment you start the video, he says, "Hey, I'm here in my garage, and here's my Lamborghini." It's literally the first thing that he says. It's scripted into the video, right? And, it looks like a live stream. Just looks like he's just accidentally showing you his Lamborghini, right? That's one of the upsides of a live stream. So anyway, he shows you his Lamborghini, and then as soon as he shows you this, he said, "But I don't care about my Lamborghini. I don't care about my fancy house and my fancy car, all my money." And he is very successful, money-wise, right? But he's like, "I don't care about that. What I really think is valuable is my books." And he turns and shows you all his books. So he says, here's the image that you want. The superficial image of the success that I know you'd like to have. Wouldn't you like it? I am that person. One of these individuals that I'm going to show you here, she said this, and I just copied it off of her Facebook page because I thought it was right down the middle of image advertising, which is people don't buy your product. They buy you. And I would change that by saying people don't buy your product if they're more buying into your image. They're not buying you, they're buying your image. They're buying the superficial desires that they see that you have gotten that they want. It's probably a little bit too much of a mouthful, but this is her opinion, and she's an image advertiser. People don't buy your stuff, they buy you. People don't buy your stuff. They buy the superficial image that you present to them, that they think that they want, subconsciously or consciously, the superficial desires. And this is what good old Ty is doing right here. So what are the superficial desires? Well, I got a little list of these. And this is what image advertising generally is selling. Because it's saying, you're basically saying, I have all this stuff, so don't you want it? And gosh, if you talk to me, maybe some of it will rub off on you. I don't have to script anything out very fancy for that. I don't have to really plan out how great my product is going to be. I don't really have to make that much of a difference because it's all about me in that situation. So and I've split this up between men and women here. So some of it's very similar, but so starting with men, superficial desire number one would be money. Money's a big one. And that one is something that Ty is demonstrating here. He's not saying, check out my Lamborghini. This is my new Lamborghini in my garage. He's saying, check out all my money. And guess what? The majority of Ty's clients are men who want money. What a concept. What a surprise. So that's one of the superficial desires. Second superficial desire that men tend to have would be women. Now, obviously, not all men. This is not all the case for all men. Some men have fulfilled the desire for money and even desire for a great woman in their life, but many of them have not, right? And so that is something that men will pursue. And if you look at, let's see if I've got this one in the right order here. Like, here's Ty. It's another great video of his. And so he's ringing this bell. He's not saying, hey, here I am with my friend in the bathing suit. He's saying, men, don't you want it? Isn't that what you want? I've got it. It's image advertising. It's just saying, I embody everything that you're looking for, a man who has a great woman by his side. So therefore, you should buy my course. You should hire me, right? That's really what he's doing. Another superficial desire that men have would be power. Here's another great image of Ty. So, basically money translates to power. So I'm going to say, if he was around all these cars, probably he's in some ways showing that he has a certain amount of power there. You could think of this from a man's point of view, like leader of men, like I'm a leader of other men. Other men want to be me, they follow me. I have people around me that listen to me and things like that. Okay, so these would be superficial desires of men. And Ty Lopez does a great job in trying to display that in his image marketing, his image advertising. This is just showing an image to people and making it look, and here's the thing, with social media as it is, you can make this look like real life, because what do we see all day on Facebook and YouTube? We see people just walking around being themselves. And so if Ty, rents, and by the way, this nice house that he's got is a rental, he doesn't own it. Not to say he couldn't afford, I don't know if he could buy it or not, but maybe he's just trying to be smart money-wise. But shows himself in a great house, with great women around him, being a leader of men, having a lot of money, etc. And that just looks like he's just accidentally filming that, which he's not. There's a reason why he's doing this. It's going to put forth that image, and people will literally just buy a product from him because he's saying, look, I have this, I can show you how to get it. They're buying the image in that case. They may be buying the product as well, but for the most part, they're buying the image. So here is that mentor that I was telling you about. My client was working with this gal. Her name is Kat Laturzo. I don't know, Laturzo, I think. You can check Kat out on Facebook. This is literally a screenshot of Kat's Facebook page. And Kat's got, like 40,000 followers, so she's doing really well. And there are specific unconscious images that Kat is putting forth as an image marketer. The first one, like that you can see, not here. Let's go to, do I have another, did I switch these up? Here we go. Sorry, it looks like I screwed up the order of my old school slides. So here's Kat. Tell me what do you see in here? What do you see in this image that like women would desire? In this, again, this is just like, oops, I'm just in my living room or my front room doing a live stream accidentally. What do you think people see in this video that would attract them to buy her product, would attract her to sign up for coaching with her specifically? That might be hard for others to reproduce. Well, one that I can see is she's in a high-rise, right? And this is like Gold Coast, Australia, I think. And she's in her house in a high-rise over, like 30th story overlooking the Gold Coast, right? So this is her place, right? So what does that say? Well, women also want this one nowadays, which is whoa, it's all breaking down. I need to get some money and buy a decent setup here. So it's money. It's like she's got to have money. She's got that place, right? She's got to have that. I don't think I got a slide that shows this. I don't. But here, this is good enough. You can see in this image here, in her little thumbnail, every other image that she's got shows her like going to aerobics class, right? So it's very much about like physical attractiveness, right? So many women, not all, but many women want to achieve a certain amount of physical attractiveness. It's not even necessarily just because They're after looking good themselves for themselves, although many of them truly, are after that. But this is a almost universal desire among women, which is also what men would call getting a woman would call love, marriage, family, kids. It's basically the same kind of desire, right? And of course, women in Western society have been taught that if you are physically attracted, you will attract a powerful man. This is not just something just I'm perceiving, right? Something that our culture has ingrained in us, a certain physical attributes that are going to achieve you the love that you desire, right? Now, can you get love without that? Of course you can, but superficially, unconsciously, we have images to the contrary, bombarding us every single second of every day. And so her image, this is not direct marketing, this is just image advertising. This is just, hi, I look good, so I can attract love, marriage, family, and kids. I think she has kids too, so that would be another one. But let's just call it love. Like kids could be a vehicle for love. A marriage, whether it's with a man marrying a woman or a woman marrying a man or a man marrying a man or whatever, that's kind of like love. It's a vehicle for love. Marriage for a woman would be a vehicle for love, and for many men, but for many men, it's just I want love in the physical form purely, right? But the reason why a woman would probably say, well, Kat's got what I want, is not just because of the money thing, because not every woman that probably follows her wants the money. They want the love, and they say, well, Kat's achieved a certain amount of physical attractiveness. She could probably get love, and she's able to manage this with kids, so we can have love and we can have money as well. We got the best of both worlds, right? And I don't think there's anything around Kat for this one, but you can see that there's also a certain, like, if you watch her videos, check out her videos, because just again search Kat Laterzo on Facebook, and you'll see that in most of her videos, she's very very she's very aggressive. She's very abrupt. She curses through her videos. She's kind of like a female Tony Robbins when it comes to the language side, right? And so, it's not, you can't see it on here, but her videos display a certain amount of power, right? And I was going to say, like, for women, not all women want to be the alpha, be the leader of other women or leader of other people, but many women in our culture today have kind of gotten men's disease, right? It's not necessarily an ego thing, but they're taught that they need to be significant too. Equality to some extent has brought us an expectation that men should be leaders. Men have always been expected to be leaders, but women should be leaders also, right? And they should have power, and they should have other people following them, and they should have a certain amount of control over others in their life, and stuff like that, And neither sex needs to have that, but women are attracted to that too nowadays. And so she embodies like all of these attributes: money, physical attractiveness that can give you love or marriage or kids or family, being the alpha, having power. She embodies this stuff. This is image advertising. And so the point I wanted to make before, when I was talking about my client, is that my client worked with this gal, and she's like, I'm just doing what she does. And I'm like, what does she do? She's like, all she does is she gets on Facebook, she rants and raves about, personal growth stuff, drops a lot of personal growth, like memes and things like that, talks about how great her life is, and sells products. And she does it randomly. She has no rhyme or reason. She's got ADD. She just pumps out content. It's not really organized. And she just sells stuff, and she's making, $1 million a year, right? I don't know if she's doing that, but she's making, that's not what my client said, but she's making a lot of money, right? And I'm like, great. So are you doing the exact same thing? And she said, yes, look at my page. I do live streams all the time. I'm pumping out all these different products. I'm very prolific. I'm just as prolific as she is. I speak my mind. My client has double the social media following as Kat. She's got like 80,000 followers, right? She's like, I'm doing her better than her. And I said, wait a second, let's just take a look. And we looked at her videos and we looked at her website. And what I saw was that my client does not have this image to portray. She can't do the image advertising where she's at the 30th story overlooking the Gold Coast. She can't do that. because this isn't her bedroom or her living room or her kitchen, right? So now we got to take away the money thing. She's doing cat, but can't show the image of money. Can't do that. Also, my client does not display the level of aerobicized physique that Kat does. Not that she's ugly or something like that, but she's not. She doesn't match Kat in that area of what generally is accepted as the perfect beauty and all that kind of stuff. And then in addition to that, Kat, I didn't know this until I talked to my client about this. Kat also got her start before she was like personal development guru. She got her start in like the fitness industry. She was doing fitness videos and doing like fitness trainings, and she was a fitness instructor and that. So it was like her world that she started. And my client, that's not her world. My client's like a spiritual coach, right? So this gal is like a whole nother spectrum of image there. So she can't really show the love thing, at least from a superficial basis of physical attractiveness and attracting an alpha man and that kind of stuff. She can't do that, right? And ultimately, although her following does display a certain amount of power, she doesn't really get to show this and display this on an image basis either. So I'm like, I don't care if you could do Cat better than Cat, but you're simply not going to you can't use image advertising the way that Kat is and try to match her. You can model her as much as you want. You will not maintain the same result. So maybe Kat can get away with not measuring her results, not keywording her YouTube. I mean, your YouTube following sucks. She's got like 700 subscribers. She gets like 20 views on her YouTube videos. She's got the Facebook following because she's got foot traffic, right? But Kat doesn't know what she's doing, evidently, just based on what I see in terms of actual internet marketing. She's just a social media person, okay? Because she's good with the image. So she's not that great with direct marketing. She's not that great with her SEO. She's not that great with her tech. Now she's doing so well because she got the social media thing going. Now she can hire people to do that for her, and now they're cleaning up that mess. But I'm like, look, I told my client, I was like, look, you can't do this the same way. Like, you can maybe have a different image, but you're not going to be able to tug those superficial heartstrings the way that Kat does. You're just not going to be able to do that. Yeah, the industry of coaches is out of control. Everyone's an expert in the answer, or expert with the answer, and very few live it, right? And and what's funny about it is like people think that living it is like money, power, women, marriage, all the superficial fruits of real labor, right? They're looking for a shortcut for that purpose, right? So these guys are taking advantage of that using image marketing and image advertising. So look, if you're an alpha man or a woman, if you got a ton of money, or you can act like you do, although that would probably be misleading at best. If you are really, as a man, you're really good at getting women, or a woman, you've got a great family and great love, and you're married to an alpha. If as a man or a woman, you have a lot of power, you're a leader of men or a leader of women, or a leader of your society or your group, great. You can get away with image advertising. If you have that level of charisma, or that kind of attitude, you can toe that line. And so I wish you luck with that. And you don't have to do all the other more technical stuff that I would have you do. You can get away with that. And by the way, even if you're a direct marketer, it's probably a good idea to try to display some image, like put your best foot forward, right? I'm not saying like don't be superficial, it's so horrible or something like that, because people will still make unconscious decisions based upon this. In fact, let's see. If you look at one of the stories that you'll see that I tell is I started out in this trailer. You might have seen this video, and I literally did like 17 years ago. Like it wasn't this exact trailer. It was just an image to represent the trailer. I didn't actually take a picture of it, but it basically was something like this. Okay, I started out here. And then the story goes, then he became, a leader of men. He's running certifications and he's talking in front of thousands of people and, all that stuff, right? So, if you look at my most recent, let me fold this over to try to make it stick. You look at my most recent ads, you can see like I'm doing the same thing. It's not like I'm not using the imagery that I think would be attractive. So if I'm in front of a group, there's a certain amount of power that it looks like I have. Even if you consciously know I'm doing this, it still kind of works. It's like, okay, he's accomplished something here, if nothing else. The money and attractiveness thing is probably not displayed here, but at least a certain amount of power and authority. We run certifications, right? So certifications exude, just the certificates itself. We're actually offering others power. They're like, if I get the certificate, it'll give me power. And to some extent, that may actually be true, depending on the industry that you're in, depending on what kind of advertising and marketing you're doing. So there's a leader of men and women displayed here because I'm in the middle of these people who I certified, right? It's coming down from the ivory tower. Okay, so it's not like, I'm completely innocent of image advertising, and I'm not trying to say image advertising is evil. But what I am trying to say is this, is that if you think that when you watch the gurus from yesteryear, the ones that got their start in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and that used charisma, that used imagery, that used mass advertising, the Guthrie Ranker group, the Mark Victor Hansons, the big authors and gurus. If you think that you're going to use that same imagery and get a bunch of clients from it, you may be right, but chances are you're not. Chances are you are missing it, and that you're deluded. Much more likely that you're going to win if you really get into and learn the direct response type of marketing, where you don't necessarily have to put forth a perfect image, and yet you can still attract clients, as many clients as you really want. And so coming back to my client, when she started to realize that, let's see if I can pull this back up, I've made a mess of it. When she started to realize that she's not Kat, and she's not going to be the fitness guru or even the money guru, and she literally was selling a money program. Name of the program had millionaire in the name of the program, right? She started to realize, I'm not going to be able to produce the same results just by copying this ODD coach, right? And what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to find my space that I can authentically live in, that may not attract people using, money, power, love, etc., but will attract the specific customer that wants a specific thing that I can offer, I can authentically offer. And then if I offer an image that attracts more of those individuals who might judge me superficially at first, then that could be a plus, but I don't need to do that. If I'm really not trying to be somebody else, I'm trying to be myself. And in that case, maybe they still might buy me, but they're ultimately buying what it is that they know I can offer them because I've already given it to them, because it's truly something I have to give. It's not something I'm acting like I'm giving it. And this client at times has told me, she's like, sometimes I feel like a fraud. And I can understand why, because she's saying, this person got the result, I'll just copy them. Your fingerprint is not the same as hers. And so out of that session, literally one session, this is the point that she got after we reviewed this. And she said, I'm gonna need to rail myself back as far as offering like make a lot of money programs and how to make money. And I need to shift into something that no one can deny that I can offer. And I asked her, because she does everything. She teaches on relationships, she teaches on sexuality, she teaches on money, she teaches on business, social media, freedom, purpose. You can go on and on. The wheel of life. She teaches and coaches on, right? And I asked her, out of all the things that you coach, what is the one thing, or one or two things, that if you were surrounded by devil's advocates, if you were surrounded by people that were chipping away at you and doubting you and telling you you're a fraud, or telling you you're not really that, you can't really do that for us, you can't really teach us that, you can't really give us that, if you were around those people, what would be the one or two things that no matter how much they try to attack you, that you could stand up for yourself without any feeling of being a fraud, without any feeling of being inauthentic, without any feeling of that you're like, I can't defend this, like I can't push against it, maybe they're right, with total confidence, and say, no, this is absolutely who I am, and you cannot deny it. And that you can not just like prove it, but that that you absolutely know that's who you are. And hopefully then you can prove it by just being that as well. And she said, it's the spirituality side. It's that side of things. And if I look at her imagery, and I'm not going to share who she is for confidentiality's sake, but if we looked at her imagery online and who she is and how she wears her hair and how she talks and things like that, a big part of it, she can't hide that spirituality side of it. And it's infected all her content anyway, while she's trying to be the money guru or the weight loss guru or whatever else she's trying to do. And so I said, so if you know that's who you can be, then we need to look at how can you not just make your imagery associated with that, which it already is anyway. So it's just more of a matter of like aligning with that. But even more importantly, to stop pushing on the products that that are just not aligned with that main spiritual piece at this time, and just be successful in that one area. Just like Kat was not, the super successful guru at first. She was the aerobics queen, or I don't know exactly, but that was her game. She was fitness. She was very successful as a fitness guru, at least online, at least in social media, before she started parlaying that and porting that into be successful and make money and have it all kind of thing. Start in one market and do good direct response to the point where you've attracted enough of those customers that you can say, hey, I'm actually pretty successful in all areas of my life, not just in this one narrow area, right? So for now, I told my client, put the blinders on and let's create a product and really master selling that product directly to the consumers that want to buy spirituality specifically. And embody that image and play that game and then win the crap out of that game. Like win that game so like nobody can deny that you are a spiritual guru, right? Once you've done that, then if you want to later on say, hey, want to know how I make all this money, or want to know how I got a social media following, or want to know how I'm successful, or want to know how I have a great relationship, then people will delve into those other areas, because now you show the image of general superficial success, not just depth of success in one area that there's nobody can deny. And so she's going to change not the entire approach that she does. I mean, she is still going to be herself, but she's going to change a big part of the way she measures her marketing and what products she puts out and where she focuses now. I hope, if she can stick to it, and get past a little bit of the ADD, because of that lesson that she learned about not trying to be somebody she's not, and also not trying to just use image advertising for the only basis of her success. And so the next piece is that she's going to have to make sure she's really diligent and disciplined with measuring the results that are happening in her marketing so she can improve it over time. And no matter how undisciplined Kat was, she's gonna need to generate success through some level of discipline, in my opinion. I suppose it's possible that she may not. I think we're in a special time in our history right now where I can talk to you, and right now I probably reach 10, 20 people, and then by the time this video goes on YouTube and it gets all different places, I'll reach hundreds maybe. There may be a point in the next 20, 30 years where if I didn't already have something built over a period of decades, that I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to reach anybody because it might be pretty flooded at that point. More established controls put in place. So maybe we're in a time in our history where you can be more random. You can be more ADD. You can just go for it and just crush it, like Gary Vaynerchuk would say, by just talking about anything you want to talk about. Maybe that's the case temporarily. But if you want to I would be very careful about basing my entire business on hoping that little narrow opportunity area at this time in history stays open long enough for you to get your shit together. Because maybe it will, maybe it won't. And if you really have value to add, if you really have a lot to give, even in one narrow area, spirituality or life design or time management or money or getting a great body or having a great relationship, anything on the wheel of life, just one of those areas you have a lot of value to add, there's no doubt that you can be successful as a content provider, as a teacher, as an influencer, as a thought leader, as an author, as a somebody giving seminars or home study materials, or coach for that matter in that area. But I wouldn't try to guarantee that you can do it just by talking about whatever you want and finding some followers. You know, do you want to leverage that? Sure, but let's also take control of our business and be diligent and actually do what, for most of us as coaches, we would call real work, which is like looking at the math of it, looking at the numbers of it, looking at the SEO, looking at the keywords people are searching for, looking at the marketplace, doing our market research. If you work with me in, we have a little program called Internet Client Machine, and we have a 5-day retreat where everybody's building their little machines. If you're doing that with me, it's not just a creative enterprise. I mean, there's creativity involved, but I mean, there's hard-nosed research that you got to go through during that process if you're going to get, if you're going to be aligned with the process that I know works for a niche that is already existing. So I hope this made sense, and if any of it didn't, let me know. Let me know where am I wrong, where am I off base, where am I deluded? Is there an exception to this rule that I'm missing? But if this resonates and if this makes sense, if you got questions, pop them into whatever chat on whatever system you're watching this on. If you have something that really resonated that you want me to maybe focus more on or talk more about, let me know as well. And I'll talk to you later.